So thank you everyone for being here. It's truly an honor to have this opportunity to speak with you. What we are inviting you today is not just a publication process and project. It's not just another academic call for chapter. What we are trying to build is something much more necessary than that. We are trying to build a body of case study that capture a part of professional life that is extremely important, but still surprisingly absent from the most teaching materials. The real decision process behind optimization, behind AI, analytics, and all of those operational judgments. Not the clean-up version after the fact, not the polished success story, not the conference version where everything seems rational in the hindsight. What we want is the real things, the moment when the data is incomplete, the model is giving one answer, people in the organization are saying something else, and the stakes are real. Someone has to decide what to do. That someone is often the practitioner, and that's why this invitation is for you. We are working on this handbook called Optimization and Operation Management in Action, and the goal is to turn real industry experience into living curriculum. We want the classroom to become a place where students, executives, the future leaders confront the kind of decision they will actually face, especially now in the world where AI can generate output very quickly, but cannot be a responsibility for the decision. So today, I want to do three things with you. Firstly, clarify exactly what kind of case we are looking for. Secondly, explain why this kind of contribution matters so much right now. And thirdly, show you what, if you have the right decision story, we can help you to turn it into a publishable case without making the process overwhelming. So Michel can go to the next slide. So let me briefly walk you through where we are going. We will begin with what is the case study, and just as it is important, what is not a case study. Then we will talk about why case study matter even more in the age of AI and why this project is different from what already exists. After that, I will show you the kind of theme and the topic we are looking for, sharing some example of the kind of dilemmas that makes strong cases, and then explain how we work together if you decide to contribute. And then finally, I will close with the next step and how to stay involved, including for people who may want to join one of the upcoming sections. Next. So what is a case study? Let me start with the most basic question, because this is where many very good potential contributors hesitate. What exactly is a case study in this project? A case study, as we mean here, is a structural narrative of a real decision situation. It is frozen at the moment of choice. It presents enough organizational context, operational detail, data, attention, uncertainty for a reader to analyze the situation seriously, but the stop before the answer is given. In another word, it does not tell the students what happened and then ask them to admire the outcome. It puts them inside the pressure of the moment and asks them to decide. That is what makes a case intellectually powerful. A strong case is rooted in reality. It comes from a real organization, a real operational setting, a real set of constraints, a real decision that matters. That stakes can be financial, operational, strategy, regularity, reputational, or even human-related things, but they have to be real. A strong case also ends at uncertainty. That part is essential. The educational power comes from the fact that the reader does not yet know what happened. The students have to examine the fact, interpret the trade-off, discuss alternatives, define their reasoning, and live inside the ambiguity. It's also protagnostic center. that means it is told from the point of view of the person or team that had to make the call. We do not want detached commentary from 10,000 feet. We want students to feel that, to feel what it means to sit in that role. And then finally, a strong case include rich but disciplined context. There should be enough information to think seriously, but not so much that the case become an internal achievement. Good cases do not overwhelm, they focus. One thing I want to say very clearly here is that the case does not require perfect outcome. It requires meaningful decision. In fact, sometimes the best case come from decisions that were painful, contested, partly wrong, or still unresolved. The educational value is in the quality of the dilemma, not in the whether how the ending looks flawless or not. Next. Now let me reduce the fear even more by saying that a case is what a case is not. It is not a success story. It is not a corporate brochure. We are not asking you to produce a published narrative about how your company succeed because everyone made excellent decision and the technology worked beautifully. That is useful for marketing. It's not useful for education. It is not a how-to guide. We are not asking for a technical manual or an implementation checklist. We are not asking you to explain how to deploy a forecasting engine in 7 steps or how to build a dashboard. This material might be useful elsewhere, but they are not the case. Also, as not a research paper, you do not need to write literature review, hypothesis section, formal empirical study. Theory can inform the teaching note, and the frameworks can shape the analysis, but the case itself must remain grounded in particular decision situation. A case is not a consulting report. A consulting report typically tells the client what to do, but the case does exactly opposite of that one. It withholds the answer and gives the reader the burden of the recommendation. It's not a just simple example. We are not looking for a neat textbook problem with one correct example and with one correct answer. Real operational life does not work that way. And we should stop pretending that it does. And it is not a memory. We are not asking for a story that say, here is what happened and here is why we are right or wrong. The case stops at the decision point. The outcome comes later in the teaching note that later I will show you. This distinction matters because many practitioners disqualify themselves very early. They think, I don't know if I have a polished success story, or the result was mixed, or there was too much uncertainty, or there were politics involved. Actually, those are often the sign of a very good cases. Could you go next? So let me come to the heart of this project. Why does this matter more than before? Because we are entering a moment in education and in a professional life where access to information is no longer the main scarcity. Students now have access to advanced coding tool, powerful language model, instant model generation, simulation support, optimization support, and more technical material than many instructors could have put in front of them 10 years ago. That reality is not going away. So the value of education has to move upward. If a student can generate a model, now the question becomes, can they frame the right problem? If the past students, the challenge was if the student can produce an answer, now the question is, can they judge whether the answer should be trusted or not? If AI can generate a recommendation, now the question is, who carries accountability when that recommendation fails? That is why case teaching has become more important, not less. And AI can generate output. It cannot be a responsibility. It cannot fully understand organizational trust. It cannot feel cross-functional resistance. It cannot fully interpret political friction, institutional memory, reputational risk, or the difference between a mathematically elegant answer and a decision a real organization can actually live with. And that gap, the gap between output and judgment, is exactly where education must become stronger in this area. Cases provide something that lectures and generic technical exercise often cannot provide. They create a safe place to practice judgment. They expose the students to the messy middle of incomplete information, conflicting priority, implementation friction, ethical discomfort, and they leave the consequences of choosing the imperfect option over another. They teach AI literacy in the serious sense, not just how to use AI, but how to evaluate it, how to question it, how to govern it, and now when not to follow it. And that is especially important in optimization, analytic, and AI-driven operations, because these fields are often presented as if better computation automatically means better decision. But practitioners know, we know that is not true. Real value comes from how model, how people, how incentives, how constraints interact in practice. That is at this moment is the classroom environment that we need to build together. You can go next. This slide, in many ways, is the educational goal of the whole project. Traditional model or method teach optimization, but case study teach decision making under imperfection. That sentence to me captured the differences. And I've been professor in academia for several years, and now I'm a practitioner. I consider myself as a practitioner. So comparing these two words, I will see that how a textbook can teach a method. It can teach linear programming, stochastic optimization, simulation, demand forecasting, classification, reinforcement learning, risk metrics, scenario analysis, and so on. All of that are important. We absolutely need those technical education. But the world our students are entering, and the world of many of you are already leading, requires something beyond method competencies. This word, this new era, it's required the ability to decide with incomplete or inflicting information. It's required the ability to manage a stakeholder resistance and that cross-functional disagreement. It required the ability to judge whether model output should be accepted, should be changed, or overridden. It requires understanding how regularity, ethics, operational reality shape the answer that looked best on the paper, but not in practice. And it required the ability to defend the decision even when reasonable experts are disagreeing. That is why these cases are not decorative addition to curriculums. They are becoming central to what serious education should be. And let me also say this, because we have many academic people in the audience as well. This is not a project that excludes academia. It's quite opposite. This is a platform where academics can support practitioners in transforming important decision experience into the teachable material. We would love to see those collaborations happen, but the main voice, the main responsibility, and the center of the gravity should remain with the industry, because that is where the decision was lived. So far, academic in the room. They are very important role here. So to help us structure, to help sharpen, to help frame the teaching value, to help us translate complexity in a form that the classroom can use it, and without taking the live decision away from the practitioner. This is a very meaningful scholarly contribution that we can have in this project. Next. Okay, let me explain why this project is slightly different from many existing case study ecosystem. There are many valuable teaching resources in the world. There are well-known case collection, excellent schools, a strong pedagogical traditions, and many useful material. This is not about dismissing that landscape, but there is a still major gap. Many existing cases are written about organization from outside. And they are often retrospective. They are often explain what happened and why. They are often strong in general analysis, but weaker on the live tension of operational decision that made under pressure. And they still contain relatively limited coverage of AI deployment, model risk, human override, and those analytic-driven decision problems as they are actually experienced in organization. Our approach is different. We want cases written from within the practice by the people who are actually inside the decision environment. We want cases to center on the decision point, not hindsight. We want the practitioner voice in the classroom. And we want to focus deliberately on optimization, analytics, AI-driven deployment, operations, decision-making under real uncertainty. That difference matters. Outside in the traditional or the existing model, observation can be useful, but inside out from your company, from your institution, and that inside out decision experience is very rare. And that rarity is exactly what this project matters. If you have lived through a decision when a model was technically strong, but politically fragile, where the optimization looked right, but implementation reality pushed back, where forecast quality changed because the environment changed, where human override was either necessary or dangerous, where the return of investment of an AI investment was far more ambiguous than the business case suggested, then your experience filled the gap that the current teaching landscape still has not addressed adequately. Next. Okay, so let me make this more concrete by showing some ranges of the thing we are looking for. We are interested in supply chain, logistics, manufacturing, industry system, financial service, FinTech analytics, AI machine learning deployment, digital transformation, enterprise technology, predictive modeling, corporate strategy, capital allocation, healthcare, energy infrastructure, risk, compliance, AI governance. It sounds broad, and it is broad, but the unifying feature is very specific. We are looking for cases where a meaningful decision had to be made. That decision involved trade-off. That decision draw on optimization, analytics, models, AI, or data-driven reasoning in some important way. And the decision environment include real uncertainty, include organizational reality, or some implementation tension. So the field itself is not defining feature. The defining features is the quality of the decision. So a case can come from a logistic network, can come from the hospital system, a bank, energy platform, a retailer, a manufacturing line, digital transformation team, from a pricing function, or a government committee. What matters is whether the case reveals something important about how real decisions are made when analytics meets reality. Go next. Can you go next, Michel? Thank you. So in this next slide is especially important because it points to I will explain some of the question at the end, so it's going to be a little bit distractive if I'm stopping here and go to the question, but sure, definitely I will answer it. This slide, it's important because I think it's the last slide that you missed it. Sure. It's not this one. This is an example. You know, there should be something last, not this one, before this. Here. This is especially important because it's point to where the need is most urgent. The gap are especially severe in AI-driven, data-driven decision-making. And the areas that remain most unrepresented include model governance and algorithmic bias in operational setting, human in the loop design, and the evaluation of AI investment against real strategy and operational objective. The high opportunity topic in the deck reflect exactly that. Demand forecasting with machine learning, for instance, routing and scheduling optimization, dynamic pricing and revenue management, predictive maintenance or asset management, natural language processing application like large language modeling, generative AI in operation or customer services. These are not minor terms at the age of practice anymore. These are central questions in many sectors. And I believe you are agree with me. Who is accountable for the moment that when the model is failed? These are the questions. How should the system be designed when the human is still need to be in the loop? How do you detect or answer algorithmic bias when decisions affect real people and the real operations? So these are also examples of the decision-making under uncertainty. How do you justify an AI investment when technical promise is existing, but organizational adoption is uncertain? All of these are not easy classroom topics. These are exactly, that's it, exactly why the case study we are talking about them matter a lot. So in fact, one reason they are rare in teaching is because they are difficult to be right well. They are difficult to simplify without losing what matters. They are difficult to discuss without flattering the human and institutional capacity. And they are often involved confidential or technical or politically sensitive realities that are harder to expose and then in conventional general management story can say. And that is exactly why we need practitioner-authored case here, because the difficulty is not a reason to avoid this topic, it is the reason to build them carefully. If you go to next slide with examples. Okay, so these are some examples of what I tell you about strong cases. For instance, take the demand signal problem. You have multiple, for instance, you have multiple forecasting models. They are disagreeing right before a major demand event. So they are not, the prediction failed. Inventory decision must be made immediately. This is not simply forecasting accuracy problem, right? It is a decision problem about trust, about time pressure, risk concentration, the cost of being wrong, all of them. These are uncertainty. A student in that case are not just learning forecasting. Of course, they need to learn forecasting technique. They are learning how decision maker think when the model is ugly, the model is fake. Or the example of the route optimization. The routing system look better on the paper when you have the code, when you are put everything on the blueprint, and may even show substational costs. But those people that are expected to use it are pushing it back the model. So now the case is not just about routing, it's about adoption. It's about local knowledge. It's about the implementation friction. It's about credibility. And what do you do when the mathematical superior solution is not a socially valuable solution? The example with the shift that broke the model. Imagine the forecasting approach worked for a long time, and then market behavior changed. They see a lot of those kind of market behavior. Sometimes we call it social media influencers that changed the demand completely, or many other uncertainty that we have. Now the historical performance report is now longer enough. So decision has to be made this week. You don't have time. Do you trust your model? Do you override it? Or you are going to create some hybrid logic? Again, this is deeply educational because it teaches students something that textbook rarely teach them. They teach about the model do not fail because they are badly built. They fail because the world is moving. Or the example with the automation investment rate. You have a capital for one or two options. A high potential AI platform with uncertain adoption, or a conventional upgrade with the lower upside and the lower risk but more expensive. So this is not only a technology decision, it is a strategic decision about timing, ambition, governance. The meaning of return here has a very significant definition. And return when innovation is involved. Return in investment when we are deciding what type of innovation should be adapted. Or could we go next? Okay. So these are kind of cases that create serious classroom discussion because they force people to confront what the decision actually it is. And this second round of example pushes even more directly into the kind of issue that are still quite rare in current teaching. This example with escalation of threshold dilemma in AI governance. So imagine you have a fraud model that catch more risky cases, but the false positive are rising, and regulators are going to ask you how the decisions are reviewed. Now the question is not, is the model accurate or not? The question is much more deeper. How should threshold be set? How should harm be distributed? What review process is defensible? And who is accountable for the resulting decision architecture? And the dispatcher override problem. And this is a scheduling problem. The scheduling system improve efficiency in the paper, but experienced planner keep overriding it. Are they undermining the technology, or are they preserving service quality through knowledge the system still does not capture? Is it exactly the kind of human versus model tension that many real organizations face? And is exactly the kind of things current students need to learn to reason about it? The credit score override. The model says one thing, human analysts say the market is changing and the segment is being undervalued. So who should win? That is not merely a financial question. It is a question about how organization combine statistical evidence, domain experience, accountability, and decision right. The last one, predictive maintenance call, is another excellent example. Is the system predict failure with a very meaningful but in fact imperfect confidence. And because this confidence is very low, we know that an unplanned shutdown is very expensive. A planned shutdown is also costly. So what do you do and when? So students must think through probability, through risks, through operational timing, through downstream consequences, and the fact that waiting for certainty, it could be, that waiting itself is a decision. So if any of this sounds close to something you have lived through, then that's exactly the point. We want the audience to recognize themselves in the case. We want them to say, yes, that's how decision actually feels. And you are going to contribute. You go next. Okay, now let me answer the next important question. Suppose that with all of those stories I explained to you, that you come with this kind of idea, yes, you have a promising case idea. How does the process work? And we have designed the process to be a structure, very respectful to your time and supportive from the beginning point. The steps in the deck are straightforward. First comes with the expression of your interest. Follow this meeting. We are going to send you an email, and we hope to hear from you. And just give you a brief topic and fill the form that we will distribute with you. Then in 1 month, write 1-page topic brief. After that, you're going to have an editorial kickoff, this 1-to-1 section. We're going to talk about the details, how we see your case. Then the case, it's a time for the case draft. After the case draft is a teaching note and the final review and the publication time. The case draft is expected to be about 8 to 15 pages and the teaching note about 3 to 5 pages. The process also includes editorial guideline, teaching notes, support, and all the final review part. What I want to emphasize here is that you do not need to arrive with a full manuscript. You do not need to solve the problem or the whole process by yourself. You do not need to have a very perfect process. You do not need to have a peer-reviewed case study written experience. What you need is a strong decision, a story. That's all. If you can identify the context, the decision, the stakes, the available data, the relevant constraint, and why the decision was genuinely difficult, and then we can work with that. That's enough. So our editorial team will help clarify the scope. It help you to sharpen the structure, shape the case into a form that is suitable for teaching. The teaching note will be prepared separately to explain what actually happened, what framework are useful, and how discussion can be guided. Usually those teaching notes are shared with the teachers, not with the students. And I also want to say something that may matter to some of you very directly. If you have a strong case idea, but limited time, or you have an internal writing capacity, there is optional professional case development support is available upon your request. In other words, if the substance is there, if the material is there, but the writing burden is the barrier, please let us know. We want a strong case to enter the project, not disappear, because the closest people to the case are the busiest people. And this is also a place where we love the academic collaboration, and it can be very valuable if a practitioner wants help with the framing, with the modeling context, with the translation of operational lemma in the teachable structure. Kind of collaboration is welcome, but again, the practitioner voice should remain central in this project. Go next. Okay, so let me address a few practical issues that people often care about it immediately, about the format, about authorship, about confidentiality and the value and everything. In terms of the format, the case study, as I said, is expected to be about 8 to 15 pages. There will be a separate teaching note about 3 to 5 page. Exhibits, data appendix can be also included whenever is useful. A structured template going to be provided. The case can be prepared in either Word or LaTeX. Sensitive detail can be masked. Data can be adapted where is necessary for publication, and confidentiality classes are also available. And that point is very important. Confidentiality should not prevent good cases from existing. We know many of the best decision situations involve commercially sensitive context. That is normal. Cases can still be written responsibly. On the authorship point, I have to emphasize that the industry professional will remain the corresponding author. So we will communicate with the corresponding author. Solid authorship, collaborative authorship are all welcome. Co-authorship with academy, as I said, more than welcome. As I said, how academic people can collaborate. Some of the academic people that we have, they are both practitioner and academician. So that's also possible. As I said, professional editing support is also available, and you don't need to have the prior case writing experience. And let me speak honestly about the value. Yes, there is publication value. There is professional recognition. Yes, your name, title, organizational context will be part of the published work. But in my opinion, the deeper value is not just that. The deeper value is that you help define what serious education should look like in the era that where technical generation is cheap, but judgment is not. You help put the real decision-making back into the center of it. You help ensure that future leaders do not leave the classroom thinking that optimization is just a formula. AI is just a tool, or analytics is just a dashboard interpretation. You help them see that these are human decisions. It's shaped by risk, it's shaped by responsibility, trade-off, timing, power, friction, and all the consequences. To me, this is the meaningful contribution. This is the most value and profit. And for companies and institutions, there's also something important here. This kind of contribution signal some serious things. It shows that your organization is willing to let its real decision experience become part of professional education. And that is the formal leadership. Can go next. Okay, so the timeline in the deck is a structure so that the process moves with the momentum, but it still remain manageable. So we are flexible. Of course, we have to meet the deadline by the publisher around end of the 2026 or beginning 2027. So this is the seminar that we have. Next 2 weeks, we have 2 other seminars for those people who couldn't make it. Then the case outline and the proposal stage is planned for the April to May. The first draft are expected for June, July, and editorial review and revision take place in late summer and early fall. Once the case itself is finished, then it's time for the teaching note and final review part, which continue to the October and November. And the target publication is January 2027. This means that the process is serious, but not rushed. I hope it gives enough time to identify the right case and shape it properly, handle confidentiality appropriately, and produce something that is genuinely useful, just rather than be hurried. And if you're thinking, this sounds interesting, but I'm not sure if I can commit immediately, that's exactly why the first step is intentionally light. So you do not have to promise a final manuscript today. The first thing is simply to identify whether you have the right decision story or not. And the next. Okay. So let me close, and that's with the very important message of the whole section. Your experience belongs in the classroom, not only the published part, not only the success part, not only the part that looks elegant in hindsight, and not only the very polished, beautiful part, the difficult part, the contested part, the moment where a model was not enough, the moment where optimization had to meet politics, those headaches, those moments that AR generates an answer, but not a decision. The moment when human had to decide what the model means, whether it should be trusted, what risk should be accepted, and what trade-off was worth making, and what consequences the organization could live with it. Those moments are educational gold, and right now they are still too rare in formal teaching materials. So the next step is simple: identifying one or more, not necessarily one. If you have more, that will be fantastic. But one real decision dilemma from your work, submit one-page topic brief, connect with our editorial team for the short intake conversation, and let us help you to see whether it can become a strong case. If you know someone, beside all of this information that I share with you, if you know someone in your team, in another institution, in another company whose decision experience deserves to appear in this book, please share this extended invitation with them. We would be very grateful. We also have 2 additional upcoming seminars for those who couldn't attend to this one, and we would be happy to welcome them as well. And again, to all of those great academic colleagues in the room, let me say one more thing. This is also a platform for you to help make these cases possible. If you know practitioner with a strong decision story, encourage them. If you would like to collaborate in a supporting role, we welcome that. That project becomes stronger when serious practitioners and serious scholars work together properly, with the industry voice still remain at the center. Thank you again for your time, your attention, and your openness to this invitation.